Move on to Middle East. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has strongly rejected Israel's recent decision to recognize Somaliland, describing it as both illegitimate and unacceptable. Erdogan has made the remarks while hosting his Somali counterpart during an official visit, stressing that the importance Turkey places on the unity and territorial integrity of Somalia. Erdogan has said that Turkey firmly supports Somalia's sovereignty and consistently opposes actions that threaten the country's stability. He has added that any decision undermining Somalia's unity are inconsistent with international norms and would not be accepted by Turkey, highlighting the strong diplomatic ties between Ankara and Mogadishu. Now for this discussion, we welcome Mr. Peter Baum. He's an editor at Weekly Blitz, joins us live from London. Thank you very much, Mr. Baum, for joining us once again. Good to see you. Now, thank you. Now, looking at this, what is the relationship like or is between Turkey and Somalia?
This is very much less to do with the relationship of Turkey and Somalia, and rather Mr. Erdogan, who for the last 3 or 4 years now has seen himself as being the potential leader of a disunited Muslim world. Somalia is a failed state. It has been racked with terrorism for decades. Strategically, very, very important, but it has a government that can't control the various terrorist Islamic groups that have perpetrated atrocity after atrocity on the Somali public. So Israel's recognition of Somaliland was designed to set the cat amongst the pigeons. There's no doubt about that. And the irony of it all is, and I'm sure your viewers and listeners will be interested in this, that when it comes to legitimacy, Somaliland, the state that Israel has recognized, fulfills all the 4 boxes of what's been known as the Montevideo Convention, a convention designed to allow the creation of a state. And Somaliland fulfills all the 4 necessary, ticks all the 4 necessary boxes: a permanent population, a government, and the ability to react with other states. Paradoxically, the state of Palestine, which numerous countries recognize, does not fulfill any of those boxes, doesn't tick any of the boxes. So therefore, as far as legitimacy is concerned, Somaliland is more of a legitimate state than the state of Palestine. Now, going back to President Erdogan, of course he recognizes this, and what is very ironic is that Turkey themselves are in breach of international law. For example, the occupation of northern Cyprus. So it's a bit rich for Erdogan to start criticizing any other country about breaching international law when Turkey itself breaches international law.
Yes, and Mr. Baum, building on the fact that you mentioned the legitimacy, Somaliland ticks all the boxes of being a legitimate state. So why are other countries not recognizing it? Why has only Israel done this so far?
That's very interesting, but I think this is more to do with the Arab Muslim bloc at the United Nations and the fear of other countries to go against that bloc because of trade reasons, political reasons, that kind of thing. But I think going forward, other countries will be recognising Somaliland. It wouldn't surprise me if in 2026, Donald Trump, who came out very strongly about Israel's recognition of Somaliland, more recently has kind of rode back from the idea and said, well, Israel has a right to do what she feels she needs to do. I've heard talk in the Indian political circles that India may well recognise Somaliland. So going forward in 2026, it will be interesting to see if any other countries follow the same path that Israel has faced. One other thing that I think is worth mentioning to your audience, and that is 24 hours ago, Turkey was rocked by an ISIS attack, which has been kept under wraps, but it's still readily available, or a lot of it is still readily available on various social media posts, including YouTube, where a number of Turkish police officers and ISIS terrorists were killed. Hundreds have been detained. So I think Erdogan coming out with that statement now is designed as much to deflect from what's going on internally in the northwest of Turkey to his domestic audience, who still see him as a very major player on the international stage.
And lastly, how do you think this recognition by Israel, and you mentioned that other countries might follow, change the regional balance or alliance in Horn of Africa?
If Israel is the sole recogniser of the country of Somaliland, then clearly the regional balance is not going to change. It's just going to remain a thorn in the side of the anti-Israel bloc and the pro-Muslim bloc, let's say. But if other countries come on board in 2026, which there are signs that they may well do, then I think the balance of power does change. It would certainly dilute the balance of power of the Houthis, for example, and the Yemeni government. It would certainly dilute the balance of power of the Islamists currently running that part of the world. So yes, I think at the moment, if Israel is the only country that recognises Somaliland, and undoubtedly there will be some kind of trade agreements between the two, if Somaliland joins the Abraham Accords, I think that would give the incentive to Donald Trump to look further into this and perhaps even recognise Somaliland from the Trump administration. If that happens, then the balance of power changes significantly.
Thank you for highlighting that. With that, I would like to thank Mr. Peter Baum for joining us from London.